baby James. Now the 1st of December was covered with snow. Yes, and so was the turnpike from Stockbridge to Boston. Now the Berkshires, they seem dreamlike on account of that frosting. With 10 miles behind me, 10,000 more to go, you know. There's a song that they sing when they take to the highway, a song that they sing when they take to the sea, a song that they sing of their home in the sky. Maybe you can believe it if it helps you to sleep, but singing seemed to work fine for me. So good night, all you moonlight ladies. Rock-a-bye, sweet baby James. Deep greens and blues for the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down my dreams? Oh, rock-a-bye, oh sweet baby James. Take to the highway, won't you lend me your name? Your way and my way seem to be one and the same. Mama don't understand it, she wants to know where I've been. I'd have to be some kind of natural born fool to wanna pass that way again, but you know I could feel it country road. Sail on home to Jesus, won't you, good girls and boys? I'm all in pieces, you can have your own choice. But I can hear a heavenly band full of angels, and they're coming to set me free. I don't know nothing about the wild wind, but I can tell you that it's bound to be, because I could feel it, child, yeah, on a country road. I guess my feet know where they want me to go, walking on a country road. To the highway, won't you lend me your name? Your way and my way seem to be one and the same child. Mama don't understand it, she wants to know where I've been. I have to be some kind of natural born fool, I wanna pass it. could feel it, Lord, on a country road. Walk on down, walk on down, walk on down, walk on down, walk on down a country road. La 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 la. Country road, oh yeah, walking on a country road. Country road. Woo. Country road. We were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. Yeah, the bonnie boat was one as we sail into the mystic. Oh, I can now hear the sailors cry, smell the sea and feel the sky. Let your soul and spirit fly into the mystic. And where that foghorn blows, I will be coming home. Yeah, when the foghorn blows, I wanna hear it. I don't have to fear it, and I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like way back in the days of old. And magnificently we will fold into the mystic. When that foghorn blows, you know I will be coming home. Yeah, when that foghorn whistle blows, I gotta hear it. I don't have to fear it, and I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like way back in the days of old. And together we will float into the mystic. Come on, girl. Too late to stop now.
Okay, this one's for Gabby. top, that's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dream that you did to, oh why can't I? Well, I see trees of green and red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They really say, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like a lemon drops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. And the dream that you dare to, why, oh, why can't I?
Volare, oh, cantare, oh, let's fly way up to the clouds, away from the maddening crowds. We can sing in the glow of a star that I know of, where lovers enjoy peace of mind. Let us leave the confusion and all disillusion behind. Just like birds of a feather, a rainbow together we'll find. Volare, oh, e cantare, oh. No wonder my happy heart sings, your love has given me wings. Penso che io sogno così non ritorni mai più. Mi dipinge con le mani e la faccia di blu. Poi d'improvviso tenido dal vento rapito, e incominciavo a volare nel cielo infinito.
di blu e chi dici di stare lassù e volavo venice punalte del sole con coro più su mentre molto pian piano sparivo lontano laggiù una musica dolce suonare soltanto per me volare oh, e cantare oh. No wonder my happy heart sings your love has given me wings nel blu dipinto di blu venite di stare lassù.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for coming. The family is deeply gratified to see so many loving faces here to honor Bryan's life. Before we begin, I kindly ask everyone to please put their phones on mute and silent. Thank you.
Welcome. My name is Bryan, John Bryan. Bryan Smith and I had the same name, one first, one last. We even spelled it the same way, but we are not relatives. We were friends. Sue and I were friends, Bryan and I were friends, and many of you were friends. Some of you may remember their wedding. I was the guy up front with them, black robe, head to toe. I'm not here in that role today. No robes. I'm here as friend. Now, Sue asked me to introduce myself, and I hope I've done enough. Okay. She also asked me to be master of ceremonies, which I am going to be. I'll be over here in this corner. Occasionally, you'll see me stand up. I'm basically trying to keep the train moving in the right direction so we get to the station on time. Okay, let us begin. All of us, you and me, every one of us is here for the very same reason. We came to honor Bryan Smith, to remember him and the time that we had with him. We want to celebrate his life. Yes, we want to do that. And we also want to support Sue and all of the children in the family as you take this next step in saying goodbye to Bryan. We will honor Bryan Smith today. We will remember him. We will remember our time with him. We will celebrate him, and we will support you. That's why we're here. Now, though all of us have come here for the very same reason, to honor and celebrate the life of Bryan, some of us have come to do more than that. If you look in your program, you will see a list of names, each of which has a title beside it, which tells you the relationship this person has to Bryan. There'll also be some names and some musical pieces. We will have music. That sometimes you will be invited to sing, and I underline invited. You don't have to sing, but please listen to the words and listen to the music. Because each of these speakers and each of these musicians are here for the purpose of helping us do the thing we came for, to honor Bryan, to enjoy and celebrate what he gave while he was with us, and to take our own next steps into saying goodbye. Okay? Now, as they do this, as they speak and they make music, we have one task, and that's to listen. Listening is sometimes very hard. Because when somebody else is speaking, what's going to happen is thoughts of your own are going to come to you. Memories are going to come to you. Feelings are going to come to you. Each of them absolutely demanding to have their time. Now, when that happens, let it happen. That's part of your way of honoring Bryan. Just be yourself. Be with your memories. Be with your thoughts. Be with your feelings. Stay with them as long as you need to. And when you're ready, come on back here. Look up, look around. There's a program in your hand. You'll be able to figure out where we are. And you can start listening again. Okay? It's all part of the experience. Okay. It gets harder for me because Bryan is my friend. So if you see me not quite on program, I'll breathe, I'll get back. I'll be here. Okay? For now, what I would like each of you to do is to just get quiet, inside and out. Breathe. Keep breathing. Prepare yourself to listen. You'll be listening to music, to words. You have the program. Follow along. Follow the order that is there. They're meant to help you have your own experience. And together, we will honor Bryan. We will celebrate him. We'll remember him. And when you're ready, please take a look at your program. I believe we start next with a period of music. Is that right? Okay. I will see you shortly.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Bryan. That's why we're here. Bryan was a friend, an incredible friend. 36 years. This song, written by Carole King, sung by James Taylor, was really written. It was really Bryan singing through them. You're welcome to sing along, listen along. You can't do it badly. Do it badly. Bryan would do it bad. Bryan loves singing. Okay. He was a choir boy. Yeah. I got the pages mixed up. Let's see here. And I have to make a spectacle of myself. When you're down and troubled and you need a helping hand, and nothing, oh, nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you gotta do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got a friend.
If the sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow, keep your head together. Call my name out loud. Soon I'll be knocking upon your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, oh yeah, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall.
All you gotta do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah.
You got a friend.
Ain't it good to know that you got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you.
They'll
Take your soul if you let them. Ah, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. I said, oh, winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you gotta do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah. You got a friend. You got a friend. Ain't it good to know you got a friend? Ain't it good to know you got a friend? Oh, Brian, you got a friend. Oh, Brian, we are your friends and family. You got a friend. Oh, we love you. You got a friend. Oh, we miss you. You got a friend. Oh, we bless you. You got a friend. We're thinking of you. You got a friend. Oh, respect you. You got a friend. You got a friend. You got a friend.
Thank you, Larry and Naomi. My name is Anthony, Brian's second son. It's okay. It's fine. I'm going to start with a reading. Romans 8:26 and 27. Brothers and sisters, the Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know how to pray as we ought. But that very Spirit intercedes with sighs too deep for words. And God, who searches the heart, knows what is in the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for saints according to the will of God. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. My father gave this to me for my 7th or 8th birthday. My dad called me Nini, or sometimes Little Bear. We are a family of huggers. We always greeted each other with a warm grasp. It often ended with a firm crack and a little massage. I gave my dad his last hug just a couple days ago, 7 days ago to be exact, with an extra long massage. When I was young, Dad and I built a tree house together. It was not just any tree fort. With input from my godfather, Paul Roth, an architect, it was designed so well that it could nearly pass a building code inspection. I remember painstakingly making plexiglass panels for the windows and placing battens on the walls to ensure the plywood wouldn't warp. To most people, it was just a treehouse, a place to jump into the pool. But to me, it was a childhood escape, a place where I felt safe. My dad and I shared incredible joy in life, but we also experienced sadness and pain, sometimes together and sometimes alone. Although Bryan was a hero to many and often appeared like a knight in shining armor, he also carried struggles that many never saw. Later in life, Dad and I would walk and talk about those struggles. We both shared how lonely life could feel, and we both faced our own internal struggles, but he always tried to lend his best support whenever he could, and his love and compassion was very special. I think part of our struggle was the double-edged sword of intellect, believing we could think our way out of every problem. But sometimes the answer is not another calculation or research project. Sometimes the answer is to just surrender. Sometimes you just have to ask for help. And although Dad could solve almost any challenge, he would sometimes toil in solitude, searching for that perfect solution. So, as the world celebrates him, I believe his timeless struggle came from his father and was passed down to him and to myself. But there is a solution. When faced with challenges beyond our control, we must admit we are powerless and turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. Over the past few years, my dad and I have talked at quite a length about finding peace and happiness. And we'd say this simple prayer together. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not mine, be done. I'll share a few brief moments. When I was about 8 years old, I was exploring some drawers in Valari, our sailboat, and I accidentally found a little device and pulled a trigger. And I ignited a flare inside the boat. But my dad wasn't mad. He calmly asked if I was okay, and then he went back to organizing his famous ditty bags. My dad also loved to run like a horse. He would literally gallop and whinny with joy. These are sounds my dad would make. But he never wanted. A few weeks ago we ran. It was supposed to be 2 kilometers. It was our last run together, and we didn't know that. And he kept going. 4 kilometers into the run, I asked him, "Do you want to go home now?" And we did eventually walk home, but it was much longer, and I did enjoy one last gleeful yelp of, "Yeah, baby!" My dad's famous line. He would yell it as we sailed on a broad reach, skied down double diamond runs, or dove into cool summer waters. This was his daily ritual at the cottage. One time, we were skiing out of bounds at Whistler. We found an incredible powder stretch, and in the excitement, we went a little far down the valley. Dad followed me because he always wanted to keep an eye on me. Unfortunately, we were down too far and couldn't make the traverse to the gondola. The terrain was quite dangerous, and the river was flowing. There was huge sinkholes, and after 3 hours with no cell service and the sun setting in the distance, we finally made it back to the village. But at no point did I feel fear or danger, because my dad was right there, making sure that I was having a great time And the next morning, of course, we woke up and had fresh tracks yet again. Dad taught us to sail using a tiller because it was the more effective tool instead of a wheel. He always insisted this because you could feel the water and the wind. And when the boat heeled over in the strong winds, Dad would brace his feet, lean back, and hold steady. He never believed in using autopilot in tough times. A captain should always have his hand on the tiller and his eyes ready to adapt when danger comes. He kept a knife nearby in case a tangled line might catch or a finger might be jammed. He was ready, always had a plan and a backup plan. Protect your fingers, he would say. I wish I could still have him here to help me in every decision in life, but I realize now he taught me everything I need to know to be the captain of my own ship. The winds will come, the storms will come, but I know how to keep my hand on the tiller, and I can enjoy the ride when the boat heels over and yell, "Yeah, baby," just like he used to do. Dad left us at a moment of great transition in my life. Maddie and I are expecting a baby this fall. He was so excited to be a grandfather, and he joined us to tour several houses until we found one that he called a good house. 3 weeks ago, he joined us in the backyard for a family barbecue, which turned out to be his last dinner with us. And even though his memory was fading and his hands were shaking, he was there. And as he hugged me in embrace, he said, "Everything is okay. I'm proud of you and I love you." I'm eternally grateful for the care from all the family and friends who have visited my dad over the last few weeks and months. He had more attention than probably the last 6 years of his life, and he would have loved to be here with all of you. He was just filled with joy at the things going on in our lives, and he was always wanting to listen and ask questions. I look forward to one day taking our daughter out into the dark of night, staring up into the stars and seeing him shining down from the heavens. And I know he'll always be there to guide us into the horizon. When Michael and I were children, whenever there was a full moon, Dad would take us down into the ravine behind our house at 7070 Bayview. There was a stone terrace overlooking the forest, and he would stand together in the darkness, 2 boys becoming men, and we would howl at the moon. Sometimes Dad didn't have the words, but he always found a way to express what he was feeling. When he felt lonely, he felt it deeply in his body, his mind, and his spirit. But now he is feeling at rest, in peace. So in closing, I'd like to ask everyone to join with me one last time. Let's become one giant wolf pack and howl at the moon. I love you, Dad. Bye.
Yeah, baby. Thank you, Anthony.
Hello. Thank you, everyone who could come on this beautiful day to celebrate the life of Bryan. My name is Jake Zupansky. I am one of Bryan's stepsons. As you know, Bryan lived a very full life, so I've organized my thoughts in a way only Bryan would truly appreciate. Sticky notes. Swimming. Bryan loves swimming. If I can listen carefully, I can still hear him swimming, breathing, splashing, exhaling while spitting water, and his excited woo when jumping in. Water played a huge part of his life and his soul. Whether he was swimming, sailing, or water skiing, he was living in his truest form, pure and authentically Bryan. Bryan was a water person through and through. He was passionate about drinking water and lived on and by the water most of his life. The amount of small 250 milliliter Nalgene water bottles that he owned was probably most likely keeping that company afloat. I remember after 9/11, when airport security had started focusing on liquids, Bryan unknowingly was smuggling small bottles of water on his body through security regularly. Sailing, boating. To anyone that was fortunate enough to spend time with Bryan on a sailboat, you got to witness him in his truest form. Bryan's connection to Valari and to the wind was when nothing else mattered but the present moment. It was when he was truly living while experiencing joy and sharing that passion with others able to join him. "Yeah, baby," is a phrase that will always make me think of Bryan in what he would call a high glide moment. It was when the wind would make him feel weightless and endorphins would flood through every cell in his body. My partner Jess and I recall a memorable moment from sailing with Bryan in St. Lucia. The three of us were out probably farther than most people were allowed to be, and a water staff boat was driving by to rescue another resort guest. The staff member yelled, "Bryan!" as they motored by, and Bryan responded confidently and somehow in a Caribbean accent, "Ya man!" Shortly after, the wind picked up and we experienced a "yeah baby" moment. That is the Bryan I will tell my daughter stories of. This one weekend when I was about 10, I had invited a school friend to come on to Valari with myself and Bryan. It was only the three of us, so it was the first time in my sailing experiences where I needed to assist in helping Bryan sail the boat. He showed me patience, mentorship, trust, and ultimately camaraderie throughout the weekend. It was a weekend I'll never forget, and it was maybe the first time we saw each other as our own people, our own captains of our journey through life. Travel and adventure. Bryan loved traveling and learning about people and their place. His curiosity led him around most of the world, including Europe, Africa, Asia, South America, and Oceania. As long as his accommodation could support his sleep apnea machine, he would go. If I can recall, I believe he had a car battery sourced in Africa to power his sleep apnea machine. Bryan always had a way to make things work. Bryan and my mom, Sue, came to visit me while living in New Zealand, and it didn't take him much convincing to go jet boating down the Shotover River or zip-lining hundreds of feet above the ground. I was able to take Sue and Bryan down the Sunwapta, Athabasca, Kicking Horse, and most recently, the Columbia River. After many years of witnessing Bryan in his element sailing, he was able to see me in mine on the river. Once again, it didn't take much convincing to get Bryan to sit in the front of the raft through all sorts of rapids. Bryan was an exceptional listener. He wouldn't just listen, but he'd be carefully formulating his response simultaneously. He also had a special ability to help others and would go out of his way to accommodate and assist in any way he could. Selfless is one word I would use to describe Bryan because he would often put people in front of his own. And family. Bryan was my stepfather, and he took that role on as a mentor, a bonus parent. He knew it was important for Ben and myself to have our childhood in Unionville and embrace that transition gracefully through moving from Bayview to Ray Crescent. Though we were two families combined through our parents' love, we became our own family in itself. The six of us had many great times in Temagami, Georgian Bay, Cuba, and of course Toronto. Throughout my whole life, Bryan has always greeted me with the same warmth and love as he always did. It started with a "Hey Jake" and a shoulder trap squeeze, which may or may not have been an attempt at a martial arts sleeper move. However, that squeeze instantly allowed me to feel his calm presence and loving intent, followed by a bear hug, which only ended when he was done. I will never forget the feeling of his signature shoulder squeeze. The following passages come from a piece of art Bryan gave to my mom during their life, and together to express his deep love for her and how he saw their relationship. It begins with, "I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine." The phrase comes from the Hebrew Bible. It originates in the Song of Solomon, also known as the Song of Songs. Then it continues with, "From every human being there rises a light that reaches straight to heaven. And when two souls that are destined to be together find each other, the streams of light flow together in a single, brighter light that goes forth from that united being." This beautiful sentiment comes from a teaching by the 18th century mystic widely known as the Baal Shem Tov. Love you, Bryan.
Thanks, Jake. I believe we're about to have some music. Now, I don't know about you, but some of us are of a certain condition that we sit too long, we will not stand. So I would invite everybody just to stand up for a moment, stretch your legs just for a second. Yeah. All right, we'll do this again in another 20 or 30 minutes, so you'll get another chance. Thank you.
I'm Susan, and I am Bryan's cousin, but I'm not going to explain exactly how we're related because we'll be here all day. But what I really wanted to talk about today was being Bryan's goddaughter. Bryan was my godfather, and it was a role that he took very, very seriously, and I'm so grateful. So what did it mean to be Bryan's goddaughter? Well, when I was very small, before Michael and Anthony were even born, he would take me sailing in the summer, and in the winter he would take the wax that went on the hull of the sailboat, and he would wax the bottom of a wooden toboggan. And he'd take me down the ravine, and we would just fly. It was magical. And when I was a little older, teenager and a young adult, and my parents were being my parents, it meant that I always had someone to call, and that I never doubted for a moment that he was 100% on my side. And I also want to acknowledge both Linda and Sue, who always opened their homes to me with open arms and made me feel like family. Most recently, Bryan as godfather sort of morphed into Bryan as friend. And we would talk every couple of months. A brief phone call with Bryan lasted about 45 minutes. We could go on for a couple of hours easily, but he always wanted to know about my kids, about my work, about the book that I have kind of been trying to write for a very long time. And he was just so open and just wanted to hear about all of it. And I treasure those memories. When I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, the phrase that came to mind again and again was that he was just a tremendous source of light in my life. And so I hope we can take inspiration from him to be that light for each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. So Sue, Michael, Anthony, Jake, Ben, and Sam, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of Bryan's friends, both friends in the room and friends around the world who right now are thinking about Bryan. It's a true honor to represent all of those friends who loved and admired Bryan. I could share and pass along dozens of stories, and you're hearing them now as they unfold in front of us, about Bryan's wisdom, his courage, his ability to bring people together and elevate any room he entered. But what I remember most is what is being shared today. It's simply, how people felt when they were with him. They felt seen, and we felt seen. They felt heard, and we felt heard. And they felt that their voice mattered. And I always felt, and I'm sure you always felt, that your voice mattered with Bryan. Whether it was 4 people or 400 people, Bryan would always say, wait, slow down. We need to get everybody's voices in the room today. What we need to understand, what brought people here, what matters to them, and what they care about most. So maybe for this last time, Bryan, I want to get everybody's voice in the room. And this time it's about you. So I want you to imagine that we're in a circle. Bryan's present. He's in the middle of the circle. And I want you to just share some thoughts, emotions, experiences of Bryan, just words that maybe stand out, that brought you here today for him. Passion. Yeah. Care. Mischievous. Love. Yeah. That wolf howl. insight, smart, kindness. Hungry. always hungry. So let's savor those words for just a second. Just savor that, as Bryan would savor his food. He's a beautiful man. Around the time that Bryan passed away last week, I read something about old friends that stopped me in my tracks. It helped me understand why this loss feels so profound for me. The writer recalled that his father telling him that the hardest part about growing old was losing old friends. He didn't quite understand what his dad meant. Why can't you just make new friends? And he said, well, I have made new friends, but I can't make an old friend. And there is an ocean of difference. When an old friend passes, you can't replace him with another old friend. You only have a limited number of people who have shared your history, moved through life with you, talked and laughed and cried, and shared big, meaningful parts of life with you. He signed my marriage certificate. It's these cumulative understandings, the sweetness and depth of long familiarity and arcs of time that give meaning to old friendships. As with the writer, I've sometimes taken them for granted. But old friendships can't be there forever, and they won't be. We know that. But sometimes we forget. Bryan was an old friend, one of my oldest and most cherished. He literally changed the course of my life 36 years ago. And many of you may share a similar moment when the tide shifted, or an idea landed, or a crucial gesture of support happened in that moment because of Bryan's presence and because of who he was. And what I truly love is that I've had a mentor, a friend, a colleague who is irreplaceable. Irreplaceable. There won't be another friend like him. What a precious gift we all share. So we could say plainly that we've all been lucky to have Bryan in our lives. But in a more heartfelt way, perhaps we could say it differently. Out of all the people this world has carried into being, of all the hidden paths we might have followed, of all the countless lives we might have chosen, some quiet miracle of time and space, a miracle of time and space, allowed our paths to meet, our stories to intersect, our lives to be forever changed by your compassion, your intelligence, your kindness, which his children have been speaking about so beautifully. And if we were to spend the rest of our days searching for a word greater than lucky, I doubt we would find one that can capture and express what your presence has meant to us, or how profoundly grateful we are that for a time we were given the gift of walking beside you, sailing beside you, working beside you, and learning from you. Bryan, thank you for the conversations, the laughter, the wisdom, the adventures, the craftsmanship you demonstrated in everything you touched. It was incredible. And of course, the friendship. We carry you with us in how we pause and listen, in how we lead, in how we care for one another. We are all very lucky.
We're about to go to music now. So, listen. is the last opportunity you will have until we're done. So rise for a moment, stretch your legs, take a breath. Okay, have a seat, and we will continue with Ben.
Hello, I'm Ben, the other stepson. Bryan loved poetry, and early on in his relationship with Sue, he gave her this poem when she was experiencing a particularly difficult time. She carried this poem with her for years in her daytimer and then later in her heart. He was expressing his full love, loving acceptance of Sue, and she was, in his belief, the healing power of nature for her, and his desire for her to know she will truly never be isolated when she is suffering. Mary Oliver's poem, Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for hundreds of miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let soft animal of your body love the way it loves. Tell me about your despair, yours, and I will tell you about mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscape, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself your imagination, calls to the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. As I stand up here today to speak about Bryan, what meant to me, I am overwhelmed with the wonderful memories of him. Growing up with Bryan meant there was always an adventure around the corner. When we were kids, we got to experience life on the water and got to be towed in the Zodiac, provided with endless snacks, lived to our heart's content. We lived on the sailboat during the summer and got to experience all the wonderful things that came along with that, including how to jump off rocks in Georgian Bay. Bryan also loved having people have new experiences. His kind heart allowed for friends, Larissa and Larissa's family to experience Valari, creating wonderful memories for everyone. He was always willing to have people on board, the sign of a true captain. Bryan was one of those most knowledgeable and smart men I have ever known. The true Bryan of all trades was always willing to impart his wisdom and knowledge. If you asked Bryan a question or his opinion on how to do something, he would always have a possible solution and some light research and his Bryan way of doing it, which would always be a very complicated way, but always the right way. And if he didn't know how to do something, you bet he spent all the time coming up with the best research and the best solution. He would spend hours on hold waiting for an opinion. He would drive around talking to different companies and eventually would compile a list of all those companies to tackle the problem. He never did anything half-assed, including loving my mom. He welcomed 2 other boys into his world and eventually their partners. Having raised 4 boys is no small feat, but here we are, all 4 of us together, so he clearly did things right. When I introduced Larissa to the family, he greeted her with one of those bear-like warm hugs. Larissa immediately knew she was part of the family. He always made an effort to ask how we were, how he could help, and would be there if we needed him. When we renovated our kitchen, we had a contractor, and Bryan came to make sure he knew what he was doing. Offering suggestions and listening to what the contractor had to say. After having a good chat, he came to us and said, "Oh, your contractor knows what he's doing. That's good. You have a good one." It was reaffirming to get the Bryan seal of approval. He will be dearly missed, as evident by the number of people here as I'm standing here today. As was wonderfully said by Ted Lasso, this is a sad moment here for all of us. There is nothing that can take it away, but we need to be grateful that we're going to get through this sad moment with all of you. As we try to navigate this new life without him, even though the captain of the ship is gone, he's given us that the rest of the crew will help navigate these tumultuous waters together. I hope I have made you proud in becoming a man who is the salt of the earth, caring, accountable, and a fine citizen. I love you. I'm going to miss you so dearly.
Thank you, friends and family. This is a very hard thing, but to be held by so many of you, us all holding each other through this, is really a gift. And the small gift for me, other than my father's excellent head of hair and silver foxness, is to be able to speak last as the oldest of the 4 boys in our family. And to be here with you all and to be feeling that heldness, that is a physical thing, but it's really that essence of my dad and the thing that we all hold dear from his caringness, his genuine care in action, love in action. And what I felt like, because we really did write, can I say, the best damn obituary ever? Just saying, team effort. We wrote it together. My mom, Sue, Anthony and I, and with the stories from all of you. And so that story of Bryan is woven into all of us. And it is one that we're grateful for to be a part of. And to have this celebration of his life be the celebration of us all coming together to celebrate his life and our connections as family and friends, some for life and some in more recent years. And all of that, for me, comes back to how do we talk about the story of Bryan? Country boy, city boy, grew up in this part of the city, loved the Kawarthas, and Scotsman Point was a special place. And that ebb and flow for him, it offered a few stories that I think are really worth sharing. Like the image of Bryan arriving back up at Buckhorn Lake with his dog Benny, getting in his little putt-putt boat and going out, nose to the wind, just like Benny the puppy dog. The stories that come to me most dear are part of what I'm sharing around Scotsman's Point being a gathering place for our family and many families, a place where my dad learned to work hard at a young age. He put me to work shoveling a very large driveway at 7070 Bayview, and cutting that lawn was a good 2 hours. But the thing that I remember in that story of family business and labors of love is the pancake breakfasts, the bonfires, the water skiing, and the celebrations of summer by the water. And in the story of all that, there's one that I think speaks to work and play very well. Bryan was the youngest in the family. Ankle biter, but him being lighter meant he could drive the ski boat faster. And the big brothers, Barry now, when they were doing the work to build those cottages that built that resort, they ordered a little extra lumber. Enough lumber to build a ski ramp around the corner so that their parents, Grace and Ross, wouldn't see it and know it was there. And so you can imagine these guys learning to drive the boat and go off the ski ramp. And Barry now, they did their best. They put motor oil on it, made it a little slippy, and they just flew off. And my dad's driving the boat, just howling. And eventually, it's his turn to try. And he actually nails that jump, first to land it, youngest. And that sort of image, that story of working hard, but building the ski ramps so that we can all have fun and have hard work and play connect. And the things that, for me, looking at it, the sailing came somewhere a little later, but it was that evolution of good friends, sharing passions of how to enjoy the water. Dave Jackson's bringing a boat back from Chicago. That was part of the search for good wind and sails, and eventually Valari. And what I'll share from this photo, it's a beautiful thing. I know that's the mast of Valari because the boat's older than me. And Bryan and my mom Linda, they had a photo, and I remember it, being the baby in the bucket on the boat. That was the way it was. And really years later, to be able to put Valari to rest with my dad, wrapping it up for the winter, just the two of us. Took a little longer that time, but it was worth doing. We did it well, and after all these years, I could really lead it, and he could let me captain that journey. The thing around caring for people, and the transition from the country boy to a businessman, and ultimately a family man. Somewhere in that story was when my parents had moved to 7070 Bayview Avenue, and I know many of you have been there, and it was a special place for us and for many. And so I think it's worth noting that my father lost his right eye in an accident before my birth and in the time that my mom, Linda, was pregnant. And he was so scared about not being able to be a good father. And I can tell you, from the number of games of catch and all the runs we did on skis, down double black diamonds, often through the woods, screaming, "Yeah, baby," he didn't miss a beat. And I know that's not something many of you would know per se, but it is an amazing thing. He never complained. He always did his best, found a way, and those things were part of what he's instilled in us. And so the eras, whether on the sailboat or at Bayview, it was getting together with people we loved, simple pleasures, often over time a growing amount of hummus and guacamole, and sometimes hummus and guacamole together. But really from that, and in the Bayview era, it was people coming together. And so many of your families are now part of my family. And many of you would know that that's something that I can't help but do. It's just, it happens, you know. You're going to always be a part of what is a growing gang of good people trying to come together and just celebrate life in big or small ways. This is a testament to that. Thank you to those who are joining us from further afield, South Africa, many from the States. And really just to offer some of those small insights, the thing that really around baseball and hockey, my dad building a backyard rink, putting on his contractor boots, pretend to be Bryan the contractor so he could buy the biggest tarp. It was a bigger tarp, blue tarp than this room, so that he could build the rink in the backyard, so that my love of hockey could be taken to the next level. And so I would flood that in the morning and skate and be there with friends and continue to play. And it was through those lessons and the friendships that I learned that there's no I in team. And I captained many teams because of that inspiration and that leadership, which for Bryan, the leadership lesson was really simple. Leaders know what's important. That was his PhD, but it was also his philosophy, and it's touched many of you that he took under his wing and just saw you and believed in you and your potential. And so through all of that, I think really the lessons that stick with me, whether it was him being game to scalp tickets to the World Series to go cheer on our Blue Jays in 92 and 93, back-to-back, baby. You know, those memories, he never told me what he paid for those tickets, but it was that idea of he was game and he was cheering me on. And that was for all of us. That was just my version of it. And I love that. And I love the story years later at Bayview in my, almost legal drinking age era, where friends and I, some in the room, smuggled, I think, 3 kegs into the garage at Bayview. We smuggled them in as best we could. We were young and relatively inexperienced in the matter. But in doing so, we tucked them in the back corner only to need to check on them at some point, which was when my dad, about to leave for the weekend to give us the keys to the house, and we had good supervision from an older brother in the extended family, Lewis. We would have that check-in on the kegs just as my dad was checking around the corner. And he literally said, "Oh my God! You need more ice!" Apparently he'd been to a couple keggers, driven cars too fast, flipped them in country roads, and learned the lesson that he then imparted on me. But he just did it in action. Even though he was going for the weekend, he went out that minute, picked up a whole bunch of ice and brought it back for us. And those kinds of fond memories will for always stick, because that was him trusting me to host those parties. He was trusting all of us to follow our bliss, whatever that is, and to really have the celebration of family and friends be a big part of that. And there were many other gatherings and many other memories, which I hope actually we can share today. Please do stay after and come up and have a drink and have a bite and tell more stories, because that's what this is all about. So I'm not going to try to do too much more. I know John's been very patient with me, but these memories are flowing, and there's a lot more to share. And I think there's a lot more we could say, but the last things all lead on this theme of, really, maybe I look a little bit like my dad. Just a little. But that's from the place of him having offered me a lot, not just genetically, but from inspiration. And from that place of how can we find our joy and walk our path, and with the wind, cut the tack that brings us closer to a broad reach, to a really flying on the water feel. And in that, all of us are grateful to have shared this time to celebrate Bryan. We're grateful for this bringing us together to celebrate a man who may have passed earlier than we would have hoped, but he lived really well, and he touched us deeply. And for that, we can be ever grateful. And so we can say that his ashes being put on his birthday this fall here at Mount Pleasant Cemetery, and some of his ashes being scattered up at the cottage near Parry Sound, that's part of the country boy going home by the water, a place we sailed and loved for a lifetime, and know that he's resting peacefully here, and that we can do the living and keep on living and loving and holding each other, and be grateful for the gift of life, and be inspired by how Bryan lived and loved. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks to all speakers for staying on time. The train's still running. We've got a few things more to go. Not many. It's true, Bryan has left this external world in which we all live together. But he's here, and you've heard his presence. He's here inside of each and every one of us. Because each of us who knew him have a space inside in our memory bank named Bryan. And there we carry what he meant to us. Each of us has our own unique image, our own unique experience, our own unique thank you for that we carry. This is not the end of Bryan. It is the beginning of saying goodbye. And there's much more to be said. As you go through the process, you will find that that image you have of him inside of you will change shape. And it will change size. It will be different because you don't run into him anymore. You can't call him again. That won't happen. But the gift he gave you, that gift will stay. And you'll make a space that will fit just that shape. And anytime you need to be reminded of the gift you got from Bryan, the part he played in making each one of us the person we now are, you can go there whenever you wish. And as Michael said, there's lots of time that's going to follow the ending here. When the ending here comes in a few minutes, you'll be asked to go to a reception, and someone from the cemetery will come down and tell us how to do that. We have one request, and that is when you think it's time to leave, don't. Let all of the family members go first. They will be at the reception waiting for you when you get there. And its purpose is to let you share those stories, as Michael said, for as long as you wish, with as many as you wish. And again, remember, even when you're there, your number one job is to listen, to hear each other, and to share in the memory, the recognition, and the celebration of Bryan Smith. Okay, I believe that we will have, does the musical interlude come before the cemetery person or after? Yeah, Larry's next.
Such beautiful words, so moving. Yeah, I'm an old friend, 36 years, old best friend. I love this man so much. What a life. A little hallelujah for this amazing man. So again, you're welcome to join in any way you want, but your words are hallelujah. The kindest man I ever met, gentle-hearted through and through. You loved this world and did what really moved you. You were always there when we needed you. You'd lift us up and pull us through. You loved us heart and soul. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You loved your boys, you loved your Sue, you loved us all, and your love is true. You weren't afraid to let your love light through you. Your shining smile, your warm embrace, your belly laugh, and that grinning face touched our lives and changed us. Hallelujah. 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 You loved your life, you loved this earth, you loved the water, and you loved plaid shirts, you loved to sail the waves on your Volare. You are the captain of your ship, sailing on your holy trip. With tears of love we're singing hallelujah. 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 Your loved ones on a farther shore wait for you, for your love some more, with arms outstretched to receive you. They love you there, we love you here, we cherish you, our Bryan dear, we celebrate you with a hallelujah. 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 Again. Hallelujah. 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 We love you, Bryan.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the service here in the chapel. On behalf of the family, thank you for all your love and support. We ask you now to join us upstairs in celebration of Bryan's life, share some stories, have some food, and have some drinks. Thank you. You want to follow me upstairs? Thank you.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song. I will try not to sing out of key. Yeah. Oh, baby, how all I need is my brother. I say I'm gonna get high. Oh, yeah. What do I do when my love is away?
Does it worry you to be alone?
No, no. How do I feel at the end of the day?
Are you sad 'cause you're on your own?
I tell you, don't you say no.